for literally anyone that is growing to be a content creator or anyone that is on the bigger side of content creation. I'm not necessarily gonna lie, this is a story of not being too damn trusting. Because obviously that's clearly what a lot of y'all problem is that y'all think when it comes down to it, people are just like, yo, it's gonna be fine, everything's gonna be alright, trust this person, I know them, and ultimately they basically take a dump in your yard, and that's essentially what happens. So there's a whole clip of C.VA basically going out his way talking about the whole Hassan trash station situation, and the way he went about it, there is things I'm not gonna necessarily overly hold him on, but at the very same time, there is parts of it where it's like, yeah, I don't see how you didn't think this was like a bad idea still. That's not really like anything helping the argument of what you're trying to do to protect yourself, honestly, right? And any of the boys when it comes down to it, right? So basically in that clip, he was talking about how like Hassan basically was going to be on the show, and essentially there was like, yo, we really don't want bringing politics to this whole thing, so just keep it on the down low, basically keep it chill, and let's not necessarily bring that type of thing up. And then basically decided to be like, yeah, we kind of got blindsided by that. We weren't expecting him to go into that because, you know, what the warnings were before. Which, I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. Again, the cautionary tale of just be careful. Because at the end of the damn day, you can't trust people. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like very paranoid on my side and very skeptical on my side. But at the end of the day, let's just be real. You can't really sit here and just full-blown trust people to do the right damn thing. I don't necessarily care if they're your friends. It could be your damn family. At the end of the day, no one should trust anything more than you trusting your own damn self and what you need to do. Like, I'm just gonna keep it very much that. I even heard, like, Rev says the same thing when it came down to, like, bringing people in or talking to other people or whatever. And essentially, he was like, yo, I don't really look at other people's content really, and I don't necessarily like watch them like a hawk or anything, because, you know, it is what it is. They do their thing, I do my thing, and that's just how it is. And that's a terrible piece of advice. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Every time I have, you know, gotten into contact with anybody, or basically anybody has any interaction with me in any shape and form, for me, I like to look at what they do, because if they have something negative to say that I don't necessarily agree with, then obviously I don't want anything to do with that, you know? And that's just kind of how it is, you know? I ain't trying to, you know, watch people like a hawk, and obviously if I already know that person and I pretty much have a good idea as to who they are, then yeah, I'm not gonna really watch them as hard. But still, nonetheless, if they are somebody new and I don't necessarily know who they is, and or they speak some wild and ass things, then yeah, I'm gonna go from time to time to see what's been going on, what they talking about, and all that type of stuff. And I find it absolutely crazy that a lot of these people that really has like these 100,000 subs and million subs don't really pay attention to the people that they are around, honestly, you know? And it could be just a preference of maybe Hassan is a bit different off camera, and maybe he's a bit more of a chiller guy off camera, and maybe that's true. But we know time and time again, when there is a camera present, he's gonna be on some political nonsense that we all pretty much can guess, you know? And that's just kind of how it is. And to keep it very much a stack, all this could really have been avoided if you just paid attention and you already knew he was gonna be on this type of time, and just don't invite him in general. Like, yeah, the first time he was on, really no one knew who he was because, you know, no one really paid attention. And even then, the first time, it was still weird because the stances he was having, I was like, wait, this doesn't make a lot of sense. This is dumb. What's happening here? And then, obviously, as more came out about him and people starting to really understand who he is, yeah, maybe don't bring him over. Like, dead ass. Like, again, I would never want to make a podcast or get somebody on board on something where I know they're basically controversial and they could do something absolutely ridiculous that could risk my whole reputation and brand. Like, I'm not doing that. That's just a resounding no. There was also like another take he had, basically talking about how he can't tell who's like a hater of Trash Taste and genuine fans of Trash Taste, and can't tell what the criticism is from either side, so he just basically ignore it, or they just basically ignore it. Which, what? Like, I'm not necessarily gonna lie. Yes, I can very much say that, yes, as, you know, people go throughout their day, and as you make content, you're gonna get a lot of people that might say some nonsense things. But there is, at least for me, a difference between people that don't like a certain video that I did, or just genuinely want to give out criticism over something I did or whatever, versus just plainly F this guy and all that type of jazz. I can very easily tell. And the way I tell the difference, at least for me, and again, might be harder when you get bigger, but for me right now, is that I look at my comments. Something that most YouTubers don't necessarily do. And when it comes down to it, I see that there is, you know, a certain person name or a profile picture that I see pop up throughout again and again in certain videos. And so I familiarize with, you know, looking at that type of profile picture or that name, and then I remember it at some point in time. And if they say something negative, or the people that I remember, you know, commenting, and they say something negative, then obviously there's a fine ass chance that I'm gonna believe that, yes, okay, then I messed up here, right? If they're especially calling it out. And then there's, you know, obviously the other side where it's like, yeah, F that guy, we don't like him because of this thing. And that's obviously stupid ass hate. That's just how it is. But for me, that's how I kind of discern between the two. And even then, there's probably like way many other ways of how you can discern which is criticism and which is actual just hate. Because yeah, it's like you can look around and see. But then that brings up a whole nother issue. Mans was talking about how he doesn't look up anything on Twitter, or really don't pay attention to Twitter too much at all, because of how much politics and all this stuff is on there, and just basically just it really doesn't do anything for him, and that's the reason why he doesn't really pay attention to anything. Which, I'm not gonna lie, that's also, I would say, another strike. Now, I understand Twitter is a hellscape. It is not necessarily the funnest place to be on, and it's definitely a weird ass place at really a lot of the damn time. But that being said, you also gotta realize Twitter at this point, and really for a while, it's been basically the place where people pop up the most to talk about nonsense. That's just gonna be how it is. Like, anytime there's a big event happening, everybody's on Twitter. Like, the whole PlayStation thing. Hey, did your PlayStation go out? I can't log back in. Hold up, let me run to Twitter, because that's how we gotta see if I'm not the only one. And that's essentially how that goes. You can't necessarily sit here and just be like, oh, I don't want to pay attention to Twitter. And if not, if you don't want to do it yourself, get somebody that you know to go do it for you. Basically, kind of scroll through that stuff for you when it comes down to it. Just log into your account, just look around. You don't gotta post them, just look around, have them see what's going on, and then just have them pay attention for you if you don't want that to happen. Because at the end of the day, at this point, I think it's really stupid not to pay attention to, you know, social media. I get it, the mental health part and all that type of stuff, but at the very same time, it is literally part of your job. You can't sit here and just say, oh, well, social media is just too much for me and I don't want to deal with it. And sure, yes, it can be, but at the same time, it's something I just don't want to outright ignore, which is also another issue that a lot of people have, is that they outright ignore stuff. But still, that's just one thing you just don't sit here and just never really pay attention to. Because obviously, tons of things could happen on social media just in a blink of an eye, and then, you know, things could go crazy. And sometimes you need to have something like a Twitter at times just to see what's going on, even if you don't really pay attention to every little thing of what's happening. You know, it just ends up ultimately being like that, because that's, again, where the most people is. That's where most of the information is going to come from. Even if it's not necessarily good information or whatever, you're still going to have information regardless, you know, of what you kind of need to see, and things that just going to happen. The only thing I won't fault him on is essentially the whole, yo, I don't want to see American politics thing, because, you know, I can't see anything in my own different countries and whatever. And that's true, because I'm not necessarily gonna lie. Like, I do see, obviously, because I'm American, and I do see American stuff all the time, I hardly ever see, like, real deal Japanese, like, news and stuff that's go over there. The only time I see it is unless it's brought over and translated, and then at the very same time, I just happen to see it on the fly, and I get what's going on. But those moments are, like, really, unless it's, like, translated, it's like rare and out the blue type of moments, like me talking about wrestling on this channel, which not gonna do, but maybe a few videos. But, you know, it just, like, it comes out rare every time or so. You know, you're not really gonna necessarily see where when it pops up. It just kind of happens. So I'm not gonna fault him on that. But my main thing in this video, the main thing I would say that you really should take home out of anything, is never be too damn trusting. I get it. There's people that you want to trust, and there's people that could be good friends with you, and that's understandable, but still, never be too dang trusting. And I'll close it off with basically a story of my own about being too dang trusting, and essentially why we don't have a Discord server anymore. Because when it comes down to it, it's my fault, and I should have really did better, but I didn't, and I let it slide for whatever reason. So essentially, there was one person that came to me on Twitter one time, basically hit up a DM, and was like, yo, I'm a huge fan, can I get into your server? Immediately, I was sus. I was suspicious of this, because I was just like, where is this coming from? How do I know this? I have never seen this person before. And one of the things too, I was just like, wanted to question them on was essentially just be like, yo, what's your favorite video? And essentially that's what I was really gonna sit here and question on when it comes down to it. But I don't remember. I think either they didn't say, or it was something else. I don't really remember what it was. But essentially they didn't give a response, I don't think. And then what ended up happening was that I was suspicious, but then at the same time, I didn't want to come over and be feeling like an asshole, right? Because there's the levels of being, you know, just being cautious, and then you're just being overly cautious, right? And that's just like how that is. So I gave out the dang, you know, Discord link at the time. And so that night, as I was about to literally go to bed, everybody started hitting me up just for like, oh my gosh, just do something about the Discord, do something about the Discord. And I'm like, what's going on? And as I go into the Discord, just straight gore. I think some type of blood explosion or something. I don't know what it was, and honestly, I don't remember what it was because I wasn't trying to see. And so I was panicking hard as hell because I was like, oh shit, what do I do? And then immediately I'm like, I gotta delete the whole damn server because there ain't no damn way. And that's just what I did. I deleted the whole server, and now that's the reason why we don't have one, right? And it's my fault because I didn't have moderation, and also I am basically not the type of guy that pays attention to Discord a lot. Like, I just don't. I really don't. Rarely do I go on there, and I'm mainly going on there just to see if my private server full of people that I do trust is, you know, saying anything. And then at the very same time, just there for the, you know, adult content. That's really what I'm there for. But outside of that, I don't really look at Discord for anything, and that's really how it is. So the reason why we don't have a server is because of that reason. And unless really we have people that's willingly wanting to, I guess, like, make the server or wanting to be moderators or whatever, that's the only way we'll have a server. But outside of that, I'm not really going to sit here and just make another server like that again, because again, I just don't want something like that to happen again. So, you know, that's really is what it is when it comes down to it. And that was because even though I was suspicious, I trusted that this person would not do something like that and all that type of stuff. Ultimately, it backfired on me, and that's what I get for being too damn trusting. And ever since that day, I've been hella cautious, checking 3 times, even 4 and 5, to make sure that, you know, maybe things ain't gonna be, hopefully not be the same way, and maybe some things might be the same way, and that's just gonna be how it is. So never be too damn trusting. Hell, and I think even more of a recent event that happened, I think, at least in the morning, I don't know the whole situation. I think like Senna and like a few other streamers got like stream sniped or something like that, and somebody threatened their life or whatever, and essentially, you know, that's just kind of how it is. And I'm just like, y'all didn't have no weapon, no protection, like a taser, pepper spray, like a pocket knife, nothing, and y'all just, I guess y'all was just like walking or somewhere, or whatever the hell happened. I'm like, this is why you have like protective stuff. Like, I know you probably don't want to carry. You want to be like, oh, well, people ain't like that. You must not have been alive that long, because yes, people are definitely like that, especially now, right? I ain't saying you need to just pull out on everybody that you see, but like, have some type of weaponry. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, women are easily 10 times more of a victim in these sort of situations than guys are. And yeah, that's just simply how it is. I'm not necessarily gonna sit here and lie, right? I don't need no man. Sometimes you do, or at least something to protect yourself with. So there's that. But that's really all I want to say for this one. Really, just again, the lesson is don't be too trusting, and make sure if you give out your trust it to the right person, and you know for certain, at least heavily for certain, that, you know, that person is trustworthy and they are valid. So there is definitely that. But again, that's really all I want to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, Hit the bell notification on your way out, also on the socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash Out is available as well. And until then, it's YJ, signing off. Have a blessed day.